Welcome to Conversations with Fjook, and today we are talking about this, I believe it's pronounced Circle of Orburos with Michael.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, heroes and villains, to Fjook Enterprises YouTube channel. Take a moment, relax, stop your bickering, and just enjoy the show. It's been a while, at least a year, probably longer, since I've had you on here to talk about War Machine, which is a miniature war game. But I'm gonna let you describe it from here on.
Absolutely. Privateer Press is the owner and operator of, and they're the manufacturer of War Machine, which has now entered its fourth edition, MK4, as it's colloquially called. We New armies, new ways to play. A bunch of new rules have come out. So yeah, and the lore has changed as well. It's been an interesting time. Basically, to sum up War Machine, you could call it that it's dinosaurs punching giant robots, punching elephants, punching dragons, punching giant trolls, and everything blows up. Everyone has a great time. It's a lot of fun. Plus, it's got a deep lore with heroes and villains, and lots of intrigue going on. They've recently fixed a lot of their lore, so their inability to deliver effective lore to the crowd in a way that is viable for the company, and I really like what they're doing. So yeah, it's really just a great time.
Speaking of the lore there, one of your armies, if I recall, is the Circle of Orbius. What is the lore?
The Circle of Orburos is all about survival. It's survival incarnate, but survival with balance. They are a group of humans and non humans who have banded together through mutual survival to ensure that their god, the Devourer Worm, does not wake up and destroy Cain, the name of the material world that they live on. To do so, they believe that nature must be balanced, um, but also that civilization has to be allowed to survive. If civilization is wiped out, then the Devourer Worm will grow too strong and defeat its arch nemesis Menoth, the god of the wall, the god of man, the first creator, and he will destroy Urkane, the spiritual world, and then lacking anything of substance to eat, he will manifest in the material realm and destroy all there in an orgy of destruction and violence. Um, However, if civilization grows too strong, then the worm will retreat back to the material world as well, and, well, untold chaos will be unleashed. Thus, it is the circle's duty to maintain the balance between the wilds and civilization.
And now I know there are people that watch my videos that know World of Darkness lore but don't know anything about War Machine. But to me, it sounds like the worm that the werewolves follow is very similar to the devouring worm of the circle. Is that correct?
No, no. Devourer worm is a corruption. It has been poisoned by civilization and the machinations of the Weaver and the powerlessness of the worm. Oh, sorry, of the wild. The worm, the Devourer worm of War Machine. It is a facet of nature. Well, yeah, you could say there's definitely similarities, but that's like all things related to deities, right? You know, there's always going to be common threads, common stories that we pull from. In this case, they're both just destruction oriented entities. But the devourer worm isn't tainted. It's just fulfilling its nature. It doesn't think, it doesn't act, it doesn't, have any long term plans. It just fights and eats. And that's about it.
If my memory serves correct, in a previous video you mentioned that each army has a theme. So if that's the wrong term, I think you said that each army has themes that you can build your army around. What is the circle's themes? that gels the
Well,
units together.
yeah, not a problem. Well, the thing is, though, is that this is all old news. This is all from MK3, so the army system that exists doesn't exist anymore. MK4 did away with themes. There's no more theme forces. No more, not the way they built upon. But to go back to MK3, the circle had a couple themes focused on basically the war beasts. So the griffins, the werewolves, the and all the other creatures that they could control. So there was a theme around that. There's a theme around the golems that they employ as well, and all of the stone constructs that they empower. There was a theme in regards to and as well there's a theme in regards to the Tharn. They are the semi-feral kind of mutated beast folk. They're humans, but they've been tainted by the devourer worm energy to become more wild-like in nature. An equivalent would be shifters from D&D. Only most of the men are 6 feet tall, and everyone has sharp, pointy teeth.
While doing research to figure out the questions to ask you, I read somewhere that the Circle is one of the oldest civilizations. Does that mean they're powerful?
Oh, absolutely, but they're powerful but mysterious. They always prefer to work from the shadows, trying to influence things. But they don't ever want to get directly involved because there's not a lot of them. I mean, it's not exactly like there's a lot of people signing up to be, druids who sacrifice people in a bloody ritual to empower a ley line so that what you think might happen will continue. So the druids, the actual leadership of the circle, have always been few in number, and the warlocks who lead some of their armies into battle, uh, they're fewer. They're even fewer and far between. So their real approach to combat is through hit and run tactics. Strike hard, get the objective done, and then leave before anyone can really know what's going on. That way, their losses stay low, and they're maintain that flexibility. And this is accomplished through their use of the ley lines and the shifting stones, magical stones that have been powered with energy, so that the circle can teleport in and out, and within a moment's notice.
Few members. There must be some interesting people in the Circle, no?
Absolutely. Obviously, most of the characters are the warlocks, the leaders, the generals of the army. For the Warhammer 40k players, these would be the HQs, the Primarch equivalents. Balder, he's certainly one. He's a man who was dedicated to the Circle and then died in combat, was brought back to life in this kind of half living, half death sort of state. He could literally see people, die, and he could see their death in front of them there, and he knew exactly when he was going to die. There's Kaya, who was essentially your more classic Raised by Wolves character. She experienced her wildling when she discovered her ability to connect beasts really early, and so she formed a bond with Laris, a wolf cub, and together they formed a partnership that spanned throughout the years. There's Mosar, the Desert Walker. He's one of the leaders of the Circle in the south there, obviously desert. He is actually blind, and no one's quite sure how old he is, but he has powers of erosion and will just flay the flesh off of you or melt steel with the power of his magic. Probably the most easy to identify is Chromac. Chromac, the Ravenous, and then Chromac the Champion in his second iteration. There, he's actually one of two Tharn who have made the roster, and he eventually takes on the Axe Rathok, which is a destructive artifact in the War Machine lore, and becomes Chromac the champion, becoming like, I want to say at least 10, 12 feet tall, just a massive slab of muscle and rage that cuts a bloody swath through opposing armies.
If since you've been playing War Machine for several iterations of the game, MK3, I believe MK2, maybe MK1 to MK4, you must have seen some interesting events happen for the circle.
Absolutely. I mean, due to their nature, they don't always get a lot of lore given to them. Hit and run tactics. They have been in a few books, which have been nice. Uh, most I didn't actually play MK1 though. I started in 2, 3. I'm a little bit into 4, but not that much. When it started coming out, I was in my third and fourth year of university, so I haven't had a chance to game nearly as much as I would like. Um, I mean, I would say some interesting bits of lore with them would be that the Tharn were actually cursed with infertility due to they were cursed by the Menites, followers of Menoth, after they had assaulted Caspia, the city of walls, one of the largest bastions of human civilization in Western Immorin, the continent that most of War Machine takes place on. And after their defeat, it was generations, and they were actually there were generations until something was done. In fact, they were almost extinct. It wasn't until Morvana, one of the warlocks, and a druid in the circle, had discovered a way to cure them of the plague that had decimated their numbers. And in doing so, she had bought their eternal loyalty to the circle, whereas before they were considering leaving, since all the circle had ever done for them is brought death and destruction.
Why did you start playing the Circle of Orburos?
Actually, I did not. My first army was the Menoth at the time, the Protectorate of Menoth. Being a Irish Catholic, the thought of setting heretics on fire kind of it echoed in my genetics. But kidding, of course. In this case, it was my partner Theta who had decided to collect the miniatures, Circle of Orburos there, and she liked them. She thought they were cute. She loved coloring. She loves coloring fur. So it was a good time. And then I got tired of playing Menoth, as many war tabletop miniature war players do. They want to get a second army going. And yeah, I jumped because I had a bunch of models already assembled and painted. I figured, hey, let's give these guys a shot. So it was more like convenient. To answer your question, I started playing because I was lazy and someone had already done most of the work for me. All I had to do was pack them and measure them and then roll horribly like I normally do.
You've played with the Orburos army. Any interesting stories you'd like to share?
Well, I mean, there's always stories here and there, but most of them are just, you get lucky on a roll. You I never feel like I outsmart my opponent. I always feel as if the guy across from me is a heck of a lot smarter than me. Um, I've played with some wonderful people. They're always classy. They're always friendly. Always willing to give advice. And I mean, I think those are the stories that stick with you. Rolling triple sixes on an attack roll, and then 5 6s on the damage, so you just obliterate the enemy warcaster and win the game. And 2 rolls is cool and all, but those are minor compared to the friends that you make along the way and the community that you help build and maintain. Uh, you know, one situation one situation that happened was that a one of our tournament organizers suffered a terrible medical incident in his family that just left him devastated. And the community banded together, and we raised funds to help support him in that time of need. And that's one of my best stories of playing War Machine and being involved in this community and the tabletop community in general.
That's my final question. Anyone or anything you would like to shout out at this time?
Let's see. Well, shout out. I will always give a shout out to my friends and family. They're the reason why I was able to recently graduate from university with a bachelor's of management and accounting. Um, my my continuous admiration for Will Wheaton and his crusade to bring entertainment to people, tell interesting stories, and promote mental health and wellness. Um, yeah, and I think that's about it. Oh, and of course, how can I forget someone who's kept me entertained for a long time? Splattercat from Splattercat Gaming on YouTube and Twitch. There, he's been a fantastic individual whose ramblings coincides with my own, and I enjoy his humor. And of course, you, buddy. I mean, thanks for having me on so many times here. I'm sorry it's sometimes hard to get a hold of me. I appreciate you spending time with me and listening to me jumble as my cat tries to get into the camera every single time. Hey, buddy. Yeah, you want in? You want to be seen? But yeah,
If you've made it this far into the video, you gotta see a cat. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you go into the description, you'll see the links to Catasplat Gaming as well as my Discord, which has been in several of my videos for at least over 2 months now, but I don't think I've ever mentioned it. So if you want to hang out with me, there's my Discord.
it's all about that self promotion. All right. Well, thank you for having me, buddy. Have yourself a good night. We'll talk to you soon.